Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's that time again, folks. Time for the world famous motion picture Retribution Power Hour, presented to you by the illustrious Evening Brothers. Take it away, band. Welcome to the Motion Picture Retribution Power Hour, baby.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome indeed.
I'm speaking specifically to babies.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Adolescents, welcome to the Motion Picture Retribution Power Hour. Oh, they're not as welcome?
Not as, they're kind of welcome. I mean, like 40, 45% welcome.
35 to 55-year-old women, welcome.
Highly welcome. Men in their mid-50s going through a midlife crisis, as welcome as it gets. I think that's kind of our energy. That's what we have going.
25 to 28-year-old men, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Age ranges that we are not reaching quite yet, so we just want to make sure.
Well, we wanted to kind of breach some of the, I would say, 12-year-olds, 12 to 15-year-olds. And,
hey, John, are you sure you want a recording of yourself saying you want to breach the 12-year-olds?
Yeah, could you find a...
Sorry.
Really, any better word that's better?
I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah, let me get a clean take of that if you don't mind. We wanted to violate the 12-year-olds, and we were thinking that a cool way to do that would be to talk about Preston's movie that he brought to us. Preston, what movie was that?
Well, I just want to say that I saw a meme today that was something along the lines of, if the boys group chat ever gets leaked, we would be totally hosed. And that's this, but just with the podcast. That's
true. That's exactly what this is. Preston, because I think my last line was going to be cut off because what you said was funnier, but here I go. We're kind of back and forth. As I set them up, you knock a completely different set of pins down. And I think that's fun.
You're bowling in the bowling alley in the next town over.
Yeah.
So Preston, come on.
What movie did we watch? What movie did you bestow upon our heads like a crown of thorns?
I don't know if I bestowed it. I think I picked it up and then dropped it upon you from a great height.
Landed directly on our toes.
Little column A, little column B.
Yeah, it had some velocity to it.
Velocity
really
is a great
both
word.
Of you just took a drink at the same time. Anyways, our movie for this last week was Rebel Moon. I feel like this is the most recent movie that we have.
It is by about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, by almost a decade. I think you're right.
I almost didn't pitch it because I was like, oh, we always do not old, but like. Not
old, like movies. 2008 or so.
Yeah, right. Back in the olden days.
Those old, busted, decrepit ass movies.
Dusty ass movies.
Fucking senile films. Like Triple X and whatever other. I couldn't think of a single other fucking movie we've watched.
Cue the Winged Serpent.
Yeah, I mean that one does qualify as old though. I think
I can't not keep bringing that one up.
You have to every time.
And I almost wasn't sure, like, because I watched it and then pitched it, and then I almost second guessed myself, and then rewatching it, a day or two ago, I said, this is absolutely a movie that we should discuss.
Boy. Oh, it deserves it. Honestly, I want to apologize on behalf of you, for you, to you, because you made yourself watch this twice.
I did not apologize.
A thing
really
that I'm not
for the team.
I'm not entirely sure I would do to get out of a saw trap is watch this movie twice.
I have one thing I want to talk about, which I hope we will elaborate on more, but just one pervasive thought was this movie was originally, we all know, and I'm telling the audience right now, was J.J. Abrams' pitch for a Star Wars movie. That got rejected. We all know why. The main thing, though...
You mean on account of it being bad, Lincoln?
Yeah, on account of it being terrible. But the one thing that the most pervasive emotion I felt the whole time was, oh boy, we judged J.J. Abrams so harshly. We judged him so harshly.
We were so mean to him.
We were so mean to J.J. Abrams, and all he was doing was his best. He was doing his very best. And here Zack Snyder's just like dropping his pants and taking a dump on screen. And we're just... And J.J. Abrams probably sitting at home watching and thinking like, okay, at least I freaking did my best.
Part 2 coming out in April. Woo!
Oh,
woo, woo, woo.
So stoked. So stoked.
So what are the chances? I feel like they're pretty high. I'm answering my own question. What are the chances we end up covering part 2 for this?
We gotta revisit it.
I feel like maybe not like a full own episode, but maybe we do like a little bonus episode kind of thing with it.
Preston, you'll have to give it a watch and see if it's episode worthy, and then we'll watch it again, so that you will have seen this entire fucking series twice.
I can do that because I am fully planning on watching the second one.
I mean, me too. That's the problem.
Okay, Preston, tell us about this movie.
Yeah, bring us in.
So this movie is came out fairly recently. It was directed by the one and only Mr. Zack Snyder.
He sure is one and
which,
only.
as much as I feel like we were just talking about this, like I feel like, John, you made a comment like, oh, tell us a little bit about the movie. Maybe, mention the director if it's relevant. Which I feel like with this movie it is very relevant.
I don't know, Preston. I'm not entirely sure that it's relevant. And then you picture like a sunrise or a sunset behind you. Sorry, that was partially visual gag, partially audio gag. And everyone at home, unlike my two co-hosts, is laughing pretty heavily, pretty hard.
They sure are.
Yeah.
I think it's almost so relevant that it loops back around to not being relevant, because it's like, who else? As we talk about the movie, it's going to be like, who else could have possibly directed this?
It's so funny. I totally agree with you. I feel like I took so many fucking notes on this movie, and not a single one has anything to do with Zack Snyder, because all of those thoughts were already preconceived when I went into this movie. So it was like, yeah,
they were conceived by Zack himself.
By Zack, he put them in my brain.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I also would like to say that generally I do like Zack Snyder movies and enjoy his directorial style and action and cinematography and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Which makes me really, really sad that I don't like this movie more.
I completely agree. Yeah, his movies on average are pretty good. I like them.
I think on average, though, you would find that the movies where he's working with a team that's more talented than him tend to be much, much better.
I will not argue with that.
I will also not argue with that. Yeah, anyways.
What's this movie about?
So,
what's this humdinger about?
Absolute humdinger of a movie. So this film.
I think you mean a humdinger.
It's funny every time.
It got him.
There was a plot, right? I know I don't know it, so I'm not blaming you for not knowing it. Just, if you need to Google it, you can.
I think the plot was, like the first maybe third of a heist movie.
Okay, well, now I'm going to cut you off because that was one of my notes that I wrote pretty early on. Is like, imagine if the first 20 minutes of Ocean's 11 was the full movie and everyone was sad. That was just exactly what this movie is.
Imagine if Guardians of the Galaxy ended when they got arrested by the Nova Corps. That'd be about the plot of this movie.
As per usual, I have a mental note that says something very similarly about Guardians of the Galaxy and this movie.
Okay, Preston,
Anyways,
take us through the plot.
The plot of this movie is we get some very dramatic voiceover for an introduction into the world.
Which is, it's just the Thor voiceover, right? Like, it's just verbatim the same audio clip that they got from the first Thor movie.
We have to assume. I'm not willing to go back and check either one of these.
I think they took an AI and made it record the Thor voiceover and then also read through all of the opening crawls of every Star Wars movie and just mashed them together.
I will say that is one thing Star Wars has gotten very correct, is like, I comprehend way better when I'm reading what's happening and not when some random guy in space is like, imagine the Dark King and his weird homeostasis. He says all kinds of words, and I heard him, and not a single one registered with me.
Well, the good news is you don't have to know about any of that.
It didn't matter even a single bit.
Because basically, there's the evil empire, and then there's those who would call themselves rebels, which is a line from this movie, and it is such a good, hard line that would just means absolutely next to nothing.
Yeah. So Preston, what's the plot of this movie?
So the plot of this movie
what happens?
is you've got
I promise something happens. It's 2 hours
already.
and fucking 15 goddamn minutes. Something happens.
It's 2 fucking hours and 15 goddamn minutes.
Yeah, those are bespoke terminologies.
So there is a village on a planet full of peaceful farmers.
And dust.
In a community.
Yep, in a community that get visited by the evil empire. Basically,
I'm not convinced Preston watched this movie
I'm so sorry,
guys. I don't think he did.
Because I am trying to explain this plot, and the only thing that is playing in my brain is A Bug's Life right now.
Care to share why that is, Preston?
Because the same thing in this movie happens. The evil empire comes, threatens a peaceful village of farmers for their grain, threatens to return after murdering some people, and some of our heroes go off and attempt to find warriors to defend the village from the grain-stealing empire.
So
Guys.
John is just now realizing that A Bug's Life is also based on Seven Samurai.
Guys, holy shit, this is A Bug's Life.
I also just love the fact that like the Seven Samurai or the Magnificent Seven are like touchstones of classic cinema, and in this movie podcast you're like, you know what, this movie is just like A Bug's Life.
Bug's Life. No, because
it's so specific about the grain, though.
Thought about The Bug's Life, or not about The Bug's Life. I had thought of Magnificent Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven Samurai, and
he got himself. He made himself laugh,
but it works way too well.
It does.
It's so wow. All right. Okay. Yeah. So you know what? If you've seen A Bug's Life, it's this movie. Except hold on. If you've seen the first half of A Bug's Life, it's this movie.
Why?
That means we know
the
ending
Zack
of this
Snyder
movie.
The most? Yeah, they all come back and defend the village, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be, right? That's got to be the next movie.
Except it's going to be 2.5 hours long of that.
Right. Well, they have to go to 18 other very, very highly dusty planets. Shake things up a little.
They need more slow motion heist crew gathering.
So, we were really disparaging Preston for not talking about the plot, but like that is the plot. Like,
right?
We have arrived at everything that happens in this movie.
I think the only thing we're missing is go collect some folk, and then that's the movie.
Right.
Go collect some folk. They get captured at the end, and then they kind of triumphantly escape confinement and
crash a ship.
Almost destroy the bad guy. And crash a ship. But not the real ship.
No. A fake ship.
Just like
not the one they've not the dreadnought
not the
that they've
Gaze.
name dropped like 18 times. No.
Which also else. What a name. What a name.
Oh, it's
Can we
such
talk
a
about
good
the King's
name.
Gaze for a little bit?
We can talk about
I think
the
we have
King's
to.
Gaze.
Yeah.
Because I just love that in this year, 2024,
Year of our Lord,
Zack Snyder was like, I'm going to call this ship the King's Gaze, and I'm going to have people say lines like, we cannot stand against the King's Gaze. And it's just such a, like, I don't know, it puts such a perfect mental image in my mind of the army calling themselves the King's Gaze.
I don't want to speak too much to who Zack Snyder is as a person, but I do, every time I watch one of his movies, I do picture him in the writer's room, just every, I would say 3 lines being like, fuck yeah, that's a cool line, dude. Holy shit, yeah. Dude, you are so good. And it's just him in the room, and he's like, you are so...
He's the only one in
God,
there.
You are so fucking sexy, dude. Oh my God, everybody loves you. It's incredible.
Oh, they're all gonna get a boner when I tell them about a giant bird that steps on that guy's face.
Everybody's gonna get so fucking hard when they see that bird. Oh my god.
Wait till they hear about the king's
bird.
gaze.
They're gonna that spider lady, they are gonna bust. They're gonna go.
They're gonna nut. I disagree. I think it's more of like a Golem situation where he like turns his head one way and he's like, they'll hate it. They hate you, Zach. They hate everything you've done.
No,
they
Zach,
hated
they
Man of
loves
Steel.
us. They loves us, Zach. No.
They gave us $90 million to make this.
They trusts us.
We could have made 2 Indiana Jones movies for the price of this one.
Well, 2 of some of the Indiana Jones movies.
2 good Indiana Jones movies.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
There's also the kind of subplot as well that's going on, which
he managed to somehow fit one of those in there. Which is
oh
amazing.
yeah, how did he have the room? With this subplot added, he now has 0.75 total plots.
is one of the folks in the village is Cora, who we find out was a soldier for the evil empire, and even I think a bodyguard for the like royal princess or something.
Oh yeah, because she's got that what I called in my notes the Gamorigin story.
She's got the Gamorigin story.
Yeah.
And then don't forget, Preston, the Anthony Hopkins robot, the eloquent Anthony Hopkins robot.
We're going to talk about the robot at some point.
Yes.
He's literally like speed running.
Lincoln, hold
real
on.
steel.
Hang on. When I make my call for what the reason is, because we're trying a new format, everybody. When I make my call at the end of this episode, toward the end, of what the reason Preston brought this up, why he made us watch this movie, the robot is involved. We will talk about the robot. I promise. I'm calling dibs on the robot. On Robot Talk 2024, I call dibs. It's later on.
So we're waiting to talk about the robot then, or
we
are you
will
just
wait
waiting
to talk about.
it...
No.
Okay,
we will wait to talk about the robot.
We can wait to talk about. Yeah, I mean, we can wait to talk about Discount Westworld for sure.
This is normally Preston. That sounds a lot like you're starting a robot talk.
He can't help himself.
I feel like this is probably in future episodes going to be later on into the episode, but there's just nothing to talk about right now. So this is, I believe, our segment, our classic bit that we like to call "Find Your Funny." Which
this is Find Your Funny.
Lincoln has prepared a theme song for Find Your Funny. Go ahead, Lincoln. You said it was a cappella.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Okay.
Find your funny, and then maybe the podcast will be good.
And so we're workshopping that. So Lincoln, what's the Find Your Funny that you've brought to the table today? This is a Motion Picture Retribution Power Hour and Twinkie Talk first. It's not me doing the Find Your Funny.
No, it is me, and it's actually a sponsored message.
Oh no way! Yes, money. I love money.
Excellent.
Yes, I know. Well, we're not the ones.
I use money.
Paid.
I use money for cool stuff like Oreos and
chocolate
John, chips to put on my Oreos.
We're not the ones getting paid. We are sponsoring this message.
Lincoln, Lincoln, I'm not super liquid right now.
Is that what that Venmo was for?
I found. Yeah, it was. I found it.
That was what the
$1,500
a week has been for.
Yeah, for the past 6 weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
I found a nonprofit. You have to be careful with your nonprofits. Make sure that they're like legit. Make sure that the money's going the right place. This one is. I'm really proud of their message. I believe that us as podcast communicators are going to gain a lot from this.
Okay.
And so, we have been sending $3,000 a month to the Rehabilitation Center for Exhausted Rhetoric.
I'm sorry, wait, no, hold on. First of all, I would love to hear more about this pyramid scheme that you've sent our money to. Second of all, I'm doing just some quick brain math here. I'm doing a little bit. It's $1,500 for me and $1,500 for Preston.
Yep. And then mine goes in there. my contribution, and then we're sending more like just around
right
$3,000.
Just around the combination of both Preston and my total.
Yeah, including my contribution.
Right.
To
what
the
is
fund.
your contribution?
Okay.
Well, my contribution is mostly like words of encouragement and really kindly worded emails
to them or to
the
us, because if it's
administrator for delivering
yeah
our money.
Yeah.
I'm well here's the other thing is I'm the founder of the Rehabilitation Center for Exhausted Rhetoric.
Oh, okay, all right. So
and
that seems that's a little shady.
So,
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Don't you? My question is, do you want to see where your money has gone?
I guess I do. I guess I do. Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't not want to. It's a lot of cash.
Well, I wasn't worried, but now I'm worried.
Here it is. This took like 45 minutes to make.
Because it's
so like rest assured.
It's like $9,000 I sent you over the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Well, okay,
hang on. Is that $1,500 a week or $1,500 a month?
I mean, it's been a week from. Have you been paying monthly?
I thought it was $1,500 a week.
Oh, it was for me too. Yeah.
Okay.
The last 6 weeks. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I was
worried you want to see where your money's been going.
I
was worried that Lincoln was doing something shady here, but he's not. It sounds like he's doing something completely above board.
Yeah. Okay. So the Rehabilitation Center for Exhausted Rhetoric.
Okay.
Our goal is to reframe common phrases in a more positive, more forward-thinking, more public-friendly, more presentable light. And so we think that so many common phrases are negative, and it's time that we embrace the power of positive manifestation in our sayings and phrases. And I actually have to ask you to not interrupt me until I finish this one.
That's fair. We've paid enough for that.
You paid enough money, so sit
gonna
back
be really
and relax and let me.
For me. I'm just.
Let me guide you through this.
Oh, Preston, my brother, my dude, my brother in Christ. It's gonna be tough for both of us. We're gonna have a time.
I'll turn my microphone off. How's that?
It's a good idea.
Our first phrase is
what?
Don't put all your eggs. Preston, you are going to be so surprised by how much text I have written down here, and once we get to the end, you're going to regret if you try to sabotage this early on.
He's laughing. Go ahead.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket is ominous. It's foreboding. It's deficit focused. It encourages anxiety. So here's the SEO optimized rewrite. Instead of don't put all your eggs in one basket, we say a basket is a great place to store some of your eggs.
Okay.
It's positive and it's asset focused. It encourages wise behavior. Second phrase, kill 2 birds with one stone. It's very death focused. There's violent imagery. And also, I have never known someone that threw a rock at a bird to kill it. Here's the rewrite. Befriend 2 birds with 1 drone.
Oh.
So this is kind of an exploratory, scientific, go out into the world, try new things kind of phrase.
Exciting.
Break a leg. Here's our next phrase. I know that it's tradition in theater and in performance to say break a leg before a show. And you know what? I didn't even take the time to research why we say break a leg. And all I did was rewrite it. Don't break a leg.
Incredible.
Much better way. Okay. Next phrase. A bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush. So again, with all the bird death, there's quite a bit of dead birds in our language. And so who keeps killing these birds? Here's the rewrite. There are so many birds hiding in so many different kinds of plants. And that's just kind of about how much there is out there in the world. Next phrase, beat around the bush. It's really vague. I have no idea what's in the bush, and it's always used in the negative. We're always saying like don't beat around the bush. So the rewrite is get right up in that bush. So instead of being negative and saying hey, don't beat around the bush here, be positive. Say please get right up in that bush while we're talking.
I feel like it's not interrupted if you haven't started the next sentence. I love that we have a clean cut of Lincoln saying, please get right up in that bush.
So the next phrase is similarly used in that it's always used in the negative, where people say, not to put too fine a point on it. So we're just gonna flip it around. Please put too fine a point on it. And we have a solution here. If you're about to say not to put too fine a point on it, instead of being negative, you flip around to the other phrase. You say, hey guys, I'm about to beat around this bush. Okay, final phrase. Lightning never strikes in the same place twice. This phrase is giving superstitious old prospector, or maybe like chauvinistic weatherman, which neither of those are in right now. And there's like, freaking, have you heard of lightning rods? Like, that's the whole point of lightning rods, is that lightning will strike the same place over and over and over again.
Got it.
I know, I'm doing the hard-hitting questions here. Here's the rewrite. A bird only dies in the same bush once.
Wait, hang on.
Well, because you know what? I was kind of starting to miss bird death. I was worried I was too zealous in my purging of bird death from our language.
Sure. Okay.
So I decided to
you're
bring
suddenly
one back in
speaking
there.
like you're making all of this up. Like this nonprofit that we're sponsoring, John and I, with our hard-earned money, is just you absconding with it.
To be clear, whether he's been pretty obvious about whether or not there's other people involved, or whether or not he's providing a service on any level whatsoever. That's been pretty clear. So I think he's been entirely honest with us. We just didn't ask enough questions.
Oh yeah, that's definitely on us for sure.
And look, I'm almost 10 grand in the hole on this one, so I'd love to go on ahead and add a couple, because I'm I guess on board because of how much of my sweet cash I didn't tell my wife I gave to you.
I feel like I have to be at this point.
So can I throw a couple in there?
Yeah. Let's workshop this together.
Okay. Well, so I was thinking about, like, I've Googled some common phrases, and they're all pretty aggressive. I'm not gonna lie to you, and really, if we're being honest, not super PC. So one that stuck out to me is bite the bullet. I'm not loving what that has to offer. That feels a little bit, I don't know, just like a little aggressive, perhaps a little suicide-y. I'm not really down for it. So here's what I've thought about is maybe consume the bullet. So it's like just really take it on. Like, you can handle this. I'm gonna consume that bullet.
You know, I'm gonna say, bite the joystick on your Nintendo 64.
That's pretty good too. That's very good. Yeah.
Because that's something that I feel like a lot of people were really enthusiastic about doing, and it didn't really bring a lot of harm to people.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the other thing that I've noticed is that maybe there's a lot of these could really just have a question mark at the end. And it's the same. It's the same thing. So, like, maybe better late than never.
Better late than never.
Or like could be better. Huh? I do like your beat around the bush. I would also like to offer up perhaps beat off the bush. That seems good to me.
What about quit beating the bush?
Okay, yeah, yes, yeah. Quit. We'll do, maybe make a month for it. Call it like Quit Beating the Bush November. We can do, for blow off some steam, I think maybe suck off some steam would be good.
You're just changing a single word. These aren't remixed and SEO optimized.
I disagree. Like, feeling under the weather, I think, is feeling over the weather. Like, wow, I'm flying.
I'm beginning to see your pattern.
Yeah, I don't think there's a pattern.
Also, over the weather is a phrase.
I don't think it is. That's insane.
I'd like to contribute one here.
Oh, Preston's got one. Okay.
Yeah.
I agreed with Lincoln that bird death seems like a real opportunity here for this nonprofit.
Couldn't agree more.
So
bird
I
death is an
would like to
opportunity for us all.
rebrand the cat that ate the canary.
Okay.
To the cat that ethically sourced a canary.
Okay, can I take that? Can I take that in a sort of different direction, Preston? And this is just a yes and sort of.
Oh, this is a workshop here.
Yeah, this is a verbal jazz kind of moment.
Yeah. It's all about the words we don't say.
Yeah. It's all between the lines. I was thinking maybe something like the cat that ate all the canaries. So there's no there's no more canaries. Because you guys seem to be a pro bird, and I have a fundamental issue with that. Because of how just distinctly anti-bird I am in every sense of the word.
You're just looking up at the sky like, what are those fuckers up to?
Those little sky bitches. That's what I call them, is my sky bitches. Yeah, so like maybe the cat that, I don't know, decimated all the birds, something like that.
Whoa.
The cat that desecrated a canary's grave.
Yeah, it could be like Garfield, the destroyer of cats, I think is something.
Of canaries?
No, no, sorry, did I say cats? All birds. This martini's getting a little strong for me, boy.
Now I am become Garfield, the destroyer of birds. Okay, have we found our funny?
Funny, is that you? Is that you in the corner there, Funny? I think that's you. We found him.
Funny.
We found that little son of a bitch.
Get over here, bend
the
over.
fourth individual in this podcast space that none of us are sharing at the moment.
Hang on, that's pretty good, actually. We can make a character out of this. It's like Garth Funny or something like that.
Welcome, Ryan Funny.
Wait.
He's really racist, so he's very quiet.
Yeah, well, no, he's not quiet. We just cut all of him out, is the problem.
Well, what he does is he whispers racist jokes into our headphones, and then we have to kind of filter the racism out and turn it into like comedy that's possible to perform.
That makes sense. Well, possible to perform in all states.
Ryan? What was that, Ryan? Oh, yes, Jonathan hates birds.
Wait, hold on. Hey, Ryan just talked to me, and he said that Lincoln might be deeply, deeply anti-Semitic, which I think is weird. I don't know.
No,
he meant anti-Semitic. I really hate concrete.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, no, he is. He's looking at me with the 2 thumbs up in his eyes. That makes sense. He's sort of an eldritch beast that we haven't really talked about.
An eldritch cartoon slot machine.
First of all, if we ever start another podcast, Eldritch Slot Machine has to be.
It's a title, at least.
If we ever start another podcast, a thing we threaten every episode of this podcast. Oh man, so we our next section of this episode is going to be talking about a couple of moments that we think we deemed worthy of discussion. Lincoln and I have both brought a couple of things. Preston may or may not have. We didn't really talk about it. And then toward the end, our second to third, depending on how many moments we all have, is going to be our final guess in terms of what made Preston choose this movie for us to watch. I'll kick it off.
Okay.
A positive of this film, because we've been really shitting on Zach on his weird little chest. I think the design of the world, the costumes, the robots, the monsters, the wetness of the plasma guns, all of that is good. I think all of the visual... no, let me rephrase that. All of the ideas presented in a visual format are good and interesting and something new.
I partially disagree.
Okay, tell me about that.
Ooh.
Because while I think, like, for instance, if I saw a behind-the-scenes look at this movie, if I saw their costume room, if I saw their props bay, I think I would be really impressed.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think I would say, wow, look at the attention to detail and the craftsmanship here. I don't think any of it is given enough attention or framed in such a way that I can possibly appreciate any of this.
Okay. What about the wet plasma guns?
You know what? Thank you so much for adequately putting words to the plasma guns.
Yeah.
Because truly...
Really, one's pretty simple word.
It is. The plasma guns are so good in this movie. The sound, the look.
Oh, the sound is good. They're
like,
squishy.
I
They
love
make
floppy
squishy sounds.
sound.
I love that, like, the slide on the pistols, like, cycles.
Yeah.
Even though it's like
that is very cool.
plasma, like, that detail, so good.
It's sick.
So good. And I really like the, I really appreciate the costuming and the worlds and the visual look and language of the movie so much.
100%. The scorpion cuff monster that they released to go catch everybody, very sick.
That was cool. That was fun. I do agree
So
about that
cool.
one. I want to talk about, this is something that this movie kind of threw into sharp relief for me. And it was something that I've been trying to figure out how I felt. And this is like giving me vocabulary to express it.
Okay.
Okay. I feel like in our current age of cinema, it is becoming increasingly difficult to find a director who is both strident and confident and artful and fundamentally functional visually.
Okay.
Like I think about the original Indiana Jones movies, which are directed with this kind of confident, dramatic hand that is, you like feel Spielberg's confidence and passion and expertise kind of exude through the direction of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also very extremely functional. It's always really clear to know. It's always very easy to tell what's going on in the frame.
True.
It's easy to see where people are, what's moving, who's talking. And that brings me to, we judge J.J. Abrams on his writing, but I think he is a really great balance between those two like aspects of directing. I think his movies do tend to be really tend to be dramatic and directed, but also really visually clear. And Snyder is just drama. There is no like, if he has to sacrifice the plot or the geography or the story or the dialogue for the drama, he'll do it
For a cool shot. Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
I can get behind that.
I feel like there is something to be said though, for like, he's got a sense. This is weird because he doesn't put it in this movie. This is a weird film for me. Like he doesn't apply most of what it feels like somebody saw a Zack Snyder movie and then tried to make it. But he, generally speaking, has a sense for scale and for making things feel like a pantheon of gods and like huge, and like even Batman, the way he frames Batman is in such a way that you're like, this guy's scary, this guy's powerful, this guy's important. And then like compare that to the way that they put Batman in The Flash, and it's just like, this guy's here, this guy exists, and this guy looks kind of dumb. And so it's like,
and this guy's Batman.
And this guy qualifies as Batman officially. I feel like this is not one of those movies, which is weird because it's like him and Netflix, which his pairing with Netflix has been very fruitful in the past. The zombie movie that he made was great. I love that movie.
So good.
It's so good. And it's visually fun to look at, and it does a good thing with the genre. This feels like it forgot to like do anything with the genre.
It doesn't have anything to say, and it's like, especially exemplified in the moments of every character that they recruit gets their like transcendent moment as if this was the third act of their very own movie.
Right,
but
exactly.
It feels so unearned. It doesn't add up to anything.
Yeah, it's nothing. No,
I think this is one of those movies that has so much style and so little substance.
Yeah, literally almost none.
Yeah, and I think it's yeah, I agree. It's like, it's a very like, and there's nothing about it that really makes it cool and different from any other space epic movie.
Well, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
No.
Like, I was reading a review that was saying something along the lines of, it doesn't have the pop of Star Wars. It doesn't have the funny character moments of Guardians of the Galaxy. It doesn't have the scale and opera of Dune. It's just like the whole movie is just trying to desperately remind you of better sci-fi projects that have been made.
Yeah, it really feels that way.
Case in point, I thought of all three of those movies as comparisons when I was watching it.
100%.
Like it really feels like somebody took all three of those, movies, franchises, whatever, and said, hey, we're going to make a movie, combining the best parts of all three of these. But it just never
it was
there.
what Zack Snyder considers the best part.
Right.
It was like,
is there any chance that Zack Snyder hasn't actually seen any of those movies and he's
only seen the trailers?
Saw the trailer and went, well, that looks pretty cool. I like those laser swords. I could make some of those.
That kind of reminds me of A Bug's Life.
That's everything. That's every time he wakes up and he goes, hey, that reminds me of A Bug's Life. And then his other voice goes, no, it doesn't. You hate A Bug's Life.
It's too innocent.
It's beautiful. We love A Bug's Life.
No, it's cut too economically.
It feels too much like the real world.
When you're talking about like style over substance, the main director I think of is Edgar Wright. And he knows that when you're putting style over substance, you also slash it to the bone so that you're not having to wade through all this bullshit to get to the style.
Yeah. Yeah, you just...
Like,
you just randomly there's zombies and you're like, why? It doesn't matter. Get fucked. Here's your movie.
Yeah. Scott Pilgrim takes off and the living room expands into like 100 yards and then the movie has started. Like,
yeah.
There's no... So if this movie was cut down to a cool like 1:30, I feel like all of us would have walked away with such a better impression of it.
Honestly, if this movie was an hour 30, we probably would have been like, I don't know why you... I guess we could talk about that. I don't know. There might be something.
My gut prediction is that we're all gonna watch the next one and then come back together and just this like could have been one single continuous movie, and
yeah, that was like an hour 40.
Right.
I doubt that this.
Like of those Harry Potter movies or the Twilight movies or any of the time the Hunger Games one or any of the times they've split a book into 2 to 3 movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Hobbit.
Yeah.
There's just not enough going on in this one to really gel it together into one.
Yeah, no, and it literally feels like he's just using slow-mo, which there's a couple slow-mo shots that are cool, but there's a lot that literally look like, oh, this scene needs to be 40 seconds longer.
Yeah, there's always a couple that look cool. That's a given.
Just statistically.
I feel like, okay, so this is...
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say this kind of leans, what we're talking about leans pretty well into my next number 2 out of 3 of my points that I wanted to bring up. Which was just like, there's so much in this movie and also absolutely nothing. But my wife, when I was watching it, Darcy, she was like, is this based on a movie? And then every 10 or so minutes, or based on a book, and every 10 or so minutes, she would be like, are you sure this wasn't based on a book? Because there would be some random spider lady, and that spider lady would be like, well, this is what I've been doing for the last 20 years. And they're like, what? Okay, like, why? Does it matter? Same thing with like the weird eagle griffin thing. Like, I was
Buckbeak, the hippogriff?
blown away that didn't show up again. I cannot believe that wasn't involved. That didn't go with them. Are you fucking kidding me?
I was so bad. I wanted that guy to call the eagle back.
Yeah,
during the third act.
It's so obvious. Like, of course you would. And like, why do the whole scene, the entire scene, shot for shot from Avatar, if you're not gonna have that griffin be important?
Avatar, How to Train Your Dragon,
yeah,
Black Stallion.
Sure,
there's a lot of those.
I hate that sequence so much. Like, out of a movie with so many questionable decisions, that one stands out so much to me.
Wait, you're saying make one of the only brown characters in the movie able to achieve transcendence and escape from slavery by communing with nature? You're saying that was questionable?
That's
Why?
bad. That's bad in some way.
That's bad. That's bad now. It's bad to have a wise Indian who's also really buff and shirtless the entire movie, who rides a horse bird real good, and that's how he achieves, his self-actualization
via spiritual connection. Don't let us forget.
Via spiritual connection to nature. You're saying why are you saying that's questionable, Preston?
That's somehow not accurate and or perhaps a little judgmental.
And perhaps it's freaking the year of our Lord 2020 fucking 4, and we're still dealing with this now.
Yeah.
You guys done?
It's debatable. It's always a question.
It's just, in a movie of like really weird, overdone introductions, that is just such a very weird, overdone introduction for a character that does absolutely nothing the rest of the movie.
That is also my biggest problem with that.
That's the problem.
Like, I feel like they set up all of these really great characters with these really cool intros and then didn't use them at all.
Yeah, and they give them all, what's funny is they give them all specific, unique skills, some of them a little racist, to do something with, and then none of them ever come back.
Nope.
Let me rephrase that. Perhaps all of them a little racist? I'm trying to think, like Asian lady with swords, not racist.
Like, I don't think in the final battle, I feel like the final battle really
Irishman
only
who double
focuses...
crosses you. Is that a racist stereotype? I don't know.
Like, I feel like every single battle in the movie, there's always, with the exception of one, I feel like there is only ever really one character that ever gets focused on, and then the other ones just sort of like pop in for like one brief little moment and then pop right back out.
Right.
You never get this like sense of like team building or interest in anybody besides Korra / Archelaus.
Like the fact that this movie was made post Guardians of the Galaxy 3 one-shot fight scene with everybody working together down the hallway, like that seems like it would be all up in Zack Snyder's jam. Like why didn't he do something like this?
Yeah, my full expectation was to come out of this movie like, well, man, it was fun as hell to watch. But was it good? No, but it was fun. It wasn't even fun.
Nope.
No. And you finish the movie and you go, where did all that time go?
Yeah, like, what have we been doing?
What have we been doing? That we haven't gotten to know the characters. We haven't really seen very much cool action. We haven't like progressed the plot very far because the movie ends in more or less the exact same state that it begins.
Yeah.
Except that the good guys have a couple more guys on their team.
A couple, but like, okay, that was my other question. And maybe it was because I didn't pay attention to this movie, which is granted true. Did you guys, what happened to literally all of the rebels outside of the sister?
They just pieced.
Because they were not at the planet at the end.
No.
Right.
He's like directors, or he's like rebels that want to help, and then like 4 of them are like, yeah, I'll help.
Oh, see, I saw a couple of people show up, and I was like stand up, and I was like, okay, cool. That must mean everybody did.
Now it's gonna be all of them.
And it wasn't. And I just didn't even think about that.
Think about The Rise of Skywalker, which, maybe we judged that one too harshly given this movie.
We did.
So you got The Rise of Skywalker with that completely out of nowhere, everybody rides in to save the day.
Right.
And Zack Snyder sets one of those up better than Rise of Skywalker did, and then doesn't follow through.
And it just doesn't happen. Why would it happen?
So like I'm guessing something like this is probably going to happen in the next movie.
It has to.
But like it has to. But why split it up into 2 movies if you're going to set up all these narrative threads and simply not follow up on them?
And just do nothing
We
with them.
don't we're not, it's not like Lord of the Rings where everyone knows that this is a long overarching plot. Like he is releasing this movie, with no prior knowledge of the franchise, no like immediate understanding of the characters or even really the genre that he's in. Yes, in his mind, maybe these narrative threads are fulfilled, but all it is unsatisfying. It's not like a cliffhanger. It's like well, that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it was like, why did I spend 2.5 hours on this movie? And I feel like there's 2 sides to that. One of them is that this is like, even Lord of the Rings, I feel like did a good job of making the first one feel cohesive as a film. And they got to a point where you were like, okay, this is the next step. Let's go on to our next chapter. But
this was like Lord of the Rings if the Fellowship got together and they were like, okay, let's go.
And they were like, sick, hell yeah, let's
ended.
go. But then the other problem is to have a moment where everybody comes back together like this, and this is a problem with Rise of Skywalker, but like to have a moment where everybody comes together, you have to have an Avengers Endgame, it's Captain America versus an entire army moment. Like there has to be a moment where you're like, there is no way that they can win this.
Or Lord of the Rings again, you have the ghosts returning.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Battle of Pelennor.
Yeah, but they just isn't one of those. Like the final battle in this movie is just kind of like some guys against some guys. It's not a whole army against 4 people. It's like probably 18 people.
I think my biggest thing with the final battle is it's not even like what the movie builds towards the entire movie.
No.
It's like we're building towards this really epic, cool defense of this village. And, they're going to train the villagers, and the villagers are going to be, terrible at first, and then they're going to get better. And then we're going to have this big, epic battle defending the village. And that's not the final battle. So all of these things that get set up never get paid off whatsoever. Because they decided to chop it into 2. And, we have to finish it some way, but we can't,
Right.
We've got to save defending the village for the second one.
I wanna tell you guys some runtimes. Bug's Life runtime, 1:35.
Okay.
7 Samurai runtime, 2 hours 40. Magnificent 7 runtime, 2 hours and 8 minutes. Why did Zack Snyder literally do this exact plot, but say, I need 2 more goddamn hours to tell this same exact story?
it's a valid question.
Yeah,
There wasn't a joke there. I just
No, you're not wrong is the problem.
I'm making myself a little angry.
there's also very little, I feel like, that like ties all of the characters together, because
Except
they're all just...
It wasn't even clear what they were offering. Like, it wasn't
Right.
even clear that they were getting paid or anything.
Yeah, well, I disagree. I feel like they made it kind of clear that they are being paid.
But
I feel like the entire movie,
individual
it's
person-
just, hey, we're gonna fight the Mother World, and the other
Okay.
character says,
Got it.
no, we're not going to. That's a terrible idea. And then there's some big speech about revenge, and then they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. But it's...
Okay, we'll do it.
Yeah, like, there's no, like... There's just nothing interesting. Like, there's no conflict in how they're putting... It's like the whole thing with... I'm trying to figure out a good parallel for this.
Dora, the Explorer, and the map, and the sexual tension between her and the map.
You have no idea
And
how
the- and-
much I want to make that connection right now. But it's just, they just sort of go along with it. And there's never any conflict.
Yeah.
There's never any, I don't know if this person is actually going to join or not.
Oh yeah, no, it's just always like, okay, this is the person that's gonna join. As they introduce
Right.
them, it's like, cool.
Yeah.
Which, okay, that was a problem that I had. This isn't one of my points, but it is a question that I have for you guys. Because I think we're... Lincoln, have you made your two? I know I've made mine
Yeah,
too.
I'm good.
Okay. All right.
I'm ready to move on.
Okay, one final thing, and then we'll do our last, what we think it was that made Preston make us watch this movie. The Empire is what I'm gonna... The space Nazis, right? They are not... I'm trying to think how to phrase this, but they aren't presented in such a way that makes me think they're all that powerful.
Yeah.
Because from what I've seen, they pop out of, and Lincoln, tell me if this is breaching on what you think it is, but like what your guess is for Preston. But they pop out of a space vagina, is exactly what they pop out of. Like I feel like we haven't touched on that.
Just like us. Just like us when we're born into the world.
But we you're making funny haha goofs here, Lincoln. But guys, if you haven't thought about it in a second, think back to what the portal is. It is a vagina. Like it's
okay.
Lincoln, don't make this another Blade Boner thing. Are you?
I don't see where this is going.
No, this is a separate
No,
point.
you don't have to prove this to us.
I'm about to
This is
Google
okay.
it
We
on
both
my
saw
work
it.
computer.
Move on.
Okay, all right.
Make your point.
All right. Thank you. My point is that they pop out of their vagina and they don't seem to be like there's a guy and some other army guys, but we never see a scene where Vader destroys a planet. We never see a scene where they're shown having any power outside of this guy says that they have power.
We never see the functional Empire.
Not at all.
Like even the first Star Wars movie, it's just this common knowledge that the Empire is so powerful and so all-reaching.
Yeah.
That it's like no question. Like there's no scene in this movie of them evading a patrol squadron of Empire soldiers.
No, nor is there an assumption that some people might be on the side of the Empire. It's just like the Empire shows up and everybody in the town is like, don't tell them shit. Like, don't talk to them. It's gonna be fine. Anyway, that's a side point.
Okay, let's get into what we thought.
I'm so excited to hear why you guys thought I chose this movie.
I'll go first, Jonathan, because I feel like you've got a humdinger.
I've got a real
stored
humdinger.
up.
Yeah.
I think that Preston, the first time he watched this movie, saw that spider lady, and he had some confusing feelings, and he was like, what is this making me feel? And what he realized was that feeling was kind of arousal. And it turns out that he's got a thing for ancient eldritch spider ladies.
For arachnid women. I understand
For
that.
arachnid women. And so
You were going to love
Preston,
my choice for next time we record.
when Madam Web comes out.
Oh my God.
Two, I think he was really hoping that it would connect on the same level to one of us, and so he's very sad right now that it didn't.
He's reaching out for a sexual friend.
A sexual? Well, no,
No.
not quite.
Yes. That's a solid guess, Lincoln. Mine wasn't quite as meta as yours is. Mine is just an element to the movie that I think is just baffling. But it's I've written down here, why choose to make interesting characters if you're only going to follow the boring ones? And so I made a list, just a quick list off the top of my head, of the characters I'd rather watch a movie about. Number one is the Spider Lady. So yes. I think we're on the same general page. Number two, weird brain leech alien that talks through a human that isn't his. Number three, the Squid King Levitica. Number four, the Scorpion robots. Number five, that random space orc. And then my true number one, the one true king, the one that is more important than any other character in this fucking movie, that they give exactly five godforsaken business minutes of footage to this film, and it's Jimmy the robot, and
his name is actually Jimmy.
His name is actually Jimmy, and he is easily the most interesting character in all of Star Wars. Like, it's crazy to me that they made one good character that is better than the thing they're trying to fight, and then they just went, but fuck him. Hopefully he's in the next movie. Dumbass bitch, little idiot with the horns.
Yeah, they establish thoughtful K2SO.
Yeah,
thoughtful,
exactly.
Introspective, loving K2SO, which is like, we all will freely admit to ourselves and to others, that's what we really want. Mm-hmm. We want robots that care about us. That's what we want to see in our movies.
We want robots that are humans. That's what we look for.
That's what we look for in a Star Wars movie. That's everybody's favorite character in every Star Wars movie is R2-D2.
Yes, and
because he's a robot that's a person.
It's fucking absurd that they gave him such an interesting backstory, made him have such a character moment with the other lady.
Got Anthony fucking Hopkins to do the voice.
Anthony Hopkins, and then what do you do with him? He just stays in the fucking village that we never come back to until the end of the movie. Is dog shit. I'm upset about this.
I think it really gets down to Zack Snyder being someone who has no sense of, like, what works.
Yes.
Like, he has good taste, and he also has bad taste, and he doesn't know how to distinguish between the two.
He can't tell. Like, if he could have somebody that would just be like, hey, Zach, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. He would make billion-dollar movies every time.
I'm going to briefly...
He would make billion-dollar 15-minute short films every time.
I'm gonna brief. I don't know if this is defending Mr. Snyder or
please, it's
not.
Zach.
Defend Sir Zach.
Use his Christian name.
I don't know if
it's
this is defending or if this is also incriminating. But I think one of the problems with this movie is it is assuming that we will watch it, care about it enough to watch the second one, and care enough that it's trying to form a franchise that has to be watched all at once versus, hey, let's make a really good standalone movie and a story that can actually be self-contained and tell itself.
Yeah.
Which you're totally right.
Like, I will say, come April, might be the smartest.
Be watching it.
It might be the smartest thing he's does for this franchise. Like, that might be
just defer all the goodness to a different movie.
No, but like, okay, but think about it. Like, we are all in a place in this exact moment where we're like, hey, when the sequel comes out, we're all gonna watch it, separate from this podcast. It has nothing to do with the podcast. We're all gonna see it because we all want to see, does it get good eventually. I feel that when that is like just on the streaming service, when that's on Netflix for anyone to see just back to back, Netflix already has an autoplay feature. It's almost going to be like do you want to watch the next movie is a scene in between the two. Like, I think that might be kind of smart for him. Preston, I'm suddenly on your side. I still hate that he didn't do anything with the fucking robot, but I'm on your side.
Because I feel like this movie, there's like two I think if you split, there's like the defending the village story, and then there's the Korra's journey story. And yes. I feel like if you split those two and had a movie introducing and focusing on Korra, suddenly this movie is almost like a functional storyline.
Almost.
And then you could bring the robot in because the robot has this whole connection with the princess.
Whole ass other movies.
Yeah.
This movie may be a functional movie.
Right. You could introduce this character
totally up Zack Snyder's
and then have your franchise of, hey, here's this, character and this really cool robot traveling the universe and defending this village.
Look, here's the thing. We're setting ourselves up for just really eating crow. Oh, hey, that's another one. Eating our words with these. Like, we are... When the sequel comes out, if it is as bad as this one, we are going to be so pissed because of the borrowed trust that we have in Zack Snyder of, like, maybe the next one will be good, which is exactly what kept the DCEU going for, I would say, a solid decade.
And then he finally released one good movie, and it went directly to HBO Max. Okay, I think it's time for equivalent punishment.
I think we're doing it. Yeah, it's time.
Oh, do I not get to say why I chose this movie?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh,
you're right. Yes. What is your reason that you chose this movie?
I chose this movie because for two reasons. Number one, I had very high hopes for it and was deeply, deeply upset the first time that I watched it. And so I had maybe just like a little bit of hope that maybe it could be better watching it the second time.
That is wildly, dare I say, fundamentally relatable.
I mean, that was the first reason. The second reason was, of course, the wetness of the blasters. That sound and is just so good. It's just so good.
Dude, put it in a 2-hour loop of just the wettest blasters you can imagine, and I'll watch it. I'll start a website, call it wetblasters.com. I don't think that would be a problem.
We need a cut of this movie that cuts out every scene that doesn't involve a wet blaster.
I totally agree. We need to cut out 2 hours and 15 minutes of this movie.
It would be a tight, 30 minutes
if
of
that.
pure action.
30 seconds.
Oh, I had our homework before we do cinematic equivalent or punishment. Our homework that I sort of thrust upon us was that we should figure out what was going to be in the Snyder cut of this one, because there's going to be that.
Oh, I know.
I think I know too. Lincoln, what do you got?
Okay, one, this is something I actually want to talk about in the movie. It is a concerning amount of Zack Snyder having watched Star Wars and said, you know what Star Wars doesn't have enough of? Sexual assault.
Sex, baby! Yeah, let's get raped up in this motherfucker.
Yeah, so that's what I think is going to be in the extended cut.
I fully agree with you. Yeah, and it's like it's that scene. It's like sexual assault, and it's just sex. Like I think this is going to be the horniest fucking Star Wars movie imaginable.
And the great thing is there is no way to tell between which two characters the sex is going to happen.
No, it could be anybody at any time.
Based on the movie we've already seen.
It's going to be the robot.
Just right.
The robot's going to be one of them.
Oh yes, he's gonna get a robo blowy. Perfect.
John, you have said the phrase blade boner, and somehow that was the grossest thing that phrase just
so
now is
bad. I really want to make a portmanteau, but I can't.
I'll do it. It's ro-blowy.
Ro-blow?
It's easy. It's a ro-blow job, which is very close to a raw-blow job, but that's different. That's when you're riding a bicycle. What?
I thought a Rob Lowe job just meant that it was tons of enthusiastic eye contact throughout.
And then at the end, he like pushes one of the like products that he's been marketing. One of his protein shakes. He's like, "You should try this. It's really good." God, this has gone off the rails. This is amazing. We've really lost the plot on this one. So, cinematic equivalent.
Just like Zack Snyder.
Is the cinematic equivalent of going to your favorite restaurant as a child and having the nostalgia just not be there at all and having the food be terrible.
For sure. This movie is the cinematic equivalent of putting in your Blu-ray disc of Alien and then finding out it's actually Prometheus that you put in.
This is the cinematic equivalent to trying to mix up all of the different Play-Doh colors as a kid and then tasting it.
This is the cinematic equivalent of that Bean Boozled game that they put out, where some of them taste like vomit and some of them taste like cherries.
Except they all taste like vomit.
But they all taste like vomit, and even the cherry ones, you're like, maybe I'd never liked jelly beans. Maybe that just wasn't really my jam.
Have we said this is the cinematic equivalent of rubbing your eyes too hard?
No, we haven't, but that's pretty good.
This feels like that for sure. Hold on, I got more.
We've all got a couple more in us. I feel it. We're not done.
I just need to stop laughing for a second.
I feel like this is the cinematic equivalent of ordering like a, I don't know, let's say whiskey soda at a bar, and then you find out that like turns out it was a concert venue and they just put like a little bit of whiskey and a whole lot of soda and it just wasn't very good.
I'm gonna take that a step further. This is the cinematic equivalent of going to a restaurant and ordering food and or ordering a drink at the bar, tasting it, and realizing that you could have saved yourself a lot of money and eaten something or drunk something so much better at your house if you had just made it.
100%. Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. I like the implication that suggests that we can make a better version of this than Zack Snyder. I might not.
John, we're podcasters. We clearly know everything.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, we're on the internet. I actually might be able to. I don't know. I feel like I could take Zack Snyder in a fight, is I guess what I'm saying.
This movie's a cinematic equivalent to getting really, really, really high and staring at an iTunes music visualizer for 3 hours. This is the cinematic equivalent to the heat that comes off the back of an old CRT TV.
What? Can I take that and run with it a little bit?
Take it and run with
This
it,
is the cinematic equivalent of taking a frozen burrito out of the freezer and then trying to warm it up with the heat that comes off the CRT TV.
And then after 30 minutes, just eating whatever is there.
Yeah.
Oh, I got one. This is the cinematic equivalent of leaving food on your counter overnight, and you wake up the next morning and go, you know what? Let's give this baby a shot.
It might still be good. I don't know.
This is the cinematic equivalent of having leftover fries, and then you microwave them, and then they're terrible.
It is. Oh, never mind. I had one, and it's not better than that, and I think that's it. I think that we were done.
We got it.
We got it in one. First try, baby.
Nailed it.
Preston, take us out.
Who's got the next movie?
Oh, yeah, it's you, John.
That would be me.
You gotta take us out.
Well, first of all, before I tell you the movie, thank you so much for listening to Motion Picture Retribution Power Hour. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us at mprphpodcast@gmail.com. Please recommend
Please email
movies
us.
for us. Please email us. Please talk to us. We love you.
If you email us, you will get on the show.
Especially if it's like hate mail. We will absolutely put it on the show.
That's going to be our next segment once we start receiving hate mail. So
yes,
please.
it's perfect. Is that everything? I think that's everything. Nothing to... Yeah,
that's everything.
We don't do anything else. Our next movie, Preston, you have chosen this for us because I have three movies that I had on backlog, and I was ready for each one of these movies, but your computer took so goddamn long to get through the mail that our timing has lined up exactly perfectly for me to choose our next film, Madam fucking Web, baby. So you all have to go to a theater to see this one.
When does it come out?
In 2 weeks, bud. In exactly 2 weeks. Not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that. February 14th, Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Madam Web. Thank you for listening to Motion Picture Retribution Power Hour. I have been...
Wait, is there homework?
You know, Lincoln, you would be the kid where we're almost done with the class, and asks if there's homework. You would be that kid.
Sorry.
All right, your homework is going to be, there's two potential homeworks, okay? So it depends on what kind of movie this is, because there's a lot of rumors going around about this movie. So homework 1, if it's the movie that I think it's going to be, tell me where there used to be Spider-Man references that they cut out. And then homework number 2 is going to be, tell me how many, I would say, like, try to figure out, without looking it up, how many writers there have been on this project before it came out.
Okay.
Those are your two homeworks. And you could do both, but if there is Spider-Man stuff, like actual God's honest Spider-Man stuff in that movie, ignore homework 1. But because I think there isn't really going to be, homework 2.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to Motion Picture Retribution Power Hour. I have been a brother John. I'm still going to use it. Go ahead.
I have been Brother Lincoln. I could crash you from here.
And I have been Brother Preston. I want to use something from this movie, but I can't.
What a podcast. Something about the Scar Giver, baby.
Something about the community.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Terrible movie.
Guys, that was so good.